Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jax Miller. Now, later on in the program, you may have heard the controversy about the drug ivermectin. Should it be used to treat COVID-19 patients? We have different views on it. The WHO says no, but a number of local doctors have been pushing for its use. So we're going to be looking at the pros and cons and what are the studies saying a little bit later on. In this first segment of the program, though, we are going to be talking about the reopening of the entertainment sector. Are you happy about it? Are you apprehensive? Share your views with us now. WhatsApp us. Our WhatsApp number is 876-381-0072. 876-381-0072. Give me your first name and your general location. Just before I go into our overview and introduce our guests, though, for those of you who may have been hoping that you would have been among the 5,000 people being allowed into the National Stadium to watch national trials, sorry to disappoint you, but that is now off. The J3A, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, has just sent out a statement saying that it has decided not to take up the, quote, letter of no objection given by the Ministry of Health to allow 5,600 spectators to attend trials. The J3A says after review and consultation, they decided that the arrangements could not be implemented in time to meet the strict COVID-19 protocols. So just to recap that, there will, after all, be no spectators attending the national trials set to take place this weekend. But one thing that is going to be going on in the days and weeks ahead will be the entertainment events. The Prime Minister announced the protocols for the reopening of the sector in Parliament earlier this week. And we have joining us in this segment of the program Andrew Bellamy, CEO of Jamaican, I Love Soca. We also have Latoya West Blackwood, a member of the Cultural and Creative Industries Alliance. Andrea Dempster-Chung is the Executive Director of Kingston Creative, and Dr. Kevin Harvey is the head of the School of Public Health at the University of Technology. Let's just watch this clip with a bit of what the Prime Minister had to say in Parliament earlier this week.
Curfew hours. Effective July 1, 2021, the curfew will begin at 11 p.m. on Monday to Saturday and 6 p.m. on Sunday and end at 5 a.m. the next morning until August 11, 2021. We believe, Madam Speaker, that this will allow almost full return in terms of business capacity to the quick service industries, and it will start the phasing in of entertainment.
All right, so remember, share your thoughts with us. WhatsApp us, 381-0072, 381-0072, or tweet me. Our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. Thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. It's great to have you on. And let me start with Dr. Harvey as a public health specialist here. Good news, bad news, or any words of caution, Dr. Harvey?
Thank you, Dion. Good night to your listeners and good night, everyone on the panel. It's mixed views. I think we are likely to see a spike as a result of the opening of the entertainment industry and what we expect in terms of the gatherings and the crowds. Once alcohol is there, you know there's a potential for breakdown in the COVID protocols. However, I have to say that COVID is going to be with us for the foreseeable future, and we have to find a way to coexist. And therefore, there are a number of things that we can put in place to try and mitigate the risk and to reduce the level of the spike that we would expect from a reopening. We have seen in many other countries, once you have these reopening and the gatherings return, there's inevitably a spike. But we can do a number of things to try and reduce this. One of the things that I think is lacking is the availability of testing. And I think we have to do more to have wide-scale testing available at community level at lower cost. Different brands of tests need to be available in terms of the antigen testing. And we can have testing prior to the events, in addition to the protocols that are going to be in place in hand washing, etc., and sanitizing and temperature checks. The COVID monitor is also a good person to have in the system, but we also have to prepare the health sector a little bit better to deal with the upcoming spike that we will have, because we may have one after this reopening, but we may have others later on. But we have to make sure that we have adequate amounts of oxygen in place so that we don't run out again. And we have to make sure that we, prepare the bed space, look at the length of stays in hospitals, and manage that process a little bit better so that we don't lose lives because of the impending or potential increase in cases.
Just before I go to the others, given though that you're anticipating that we are likely to see some kind of spike, is this though of special concern right now with the increasing concern about the Delta variant of COVID-19, which has prevented England from going ahead with the reopening that they had planned for June 21. We hear it spreading in the United States, and which is said to be over 60% more transmissible than the original variant, than the original COVID.
Definitely. We're seeing where once a new variant takes hold, there's an increase in cases, a spike. I think the last spike that we just had would have been a result of what we call the UK variant. And so once the Indian variant gets here, we expect that to trigger another spike. We will always have these new variants going forward, and we have seen, for example, in the UK, where they have fairly high vaccination rates, and they're still seeing this spike due to the Indian variant. And so we have to be very careful and not to expect that the vaccines are going to be a panacea and really get us out of this forever and ever. Amen. We will still be managing COVID for a long time in the future.
Okay. Latoya West Blackwood, so good news. I know your group had been calling, of course, for the reopening, and you are concerned as to what the protocols would look like. What do you think of what you've heard?
So just to define, our group, as it's called, is a Cultural and Creative Industries Alliance, which means that we cover the broad spectrum of the industry, which includes entertainment as a subsector. And I made that point not to be divisive, but to really define it, because I think that in talking about the entertainment sector, there is almost a blocking out of the fact that there are other activities, other businesses impacted by COVID under that broader umbrella of the cultural and creative industries. And so I think that's an important point to make, because it not only means or signals the return of any kind of mass events or parties, but you're talking about theater, you're talking about dance, you're talking about visual art, you're talking about a range of activities. We generally welcome the step forward, which is what we see the Prime Minister's announcement as. And we note that there are certain points that are practical. Some of the things, though, that we would have loved to see is definitely a more inclusive consultation process, because one of our recommendations, for example, is the whole matter of, with reopening, looking at industry-specific protocols. And why is that necessary? Because all activities under this banner of cultural and creative industries are different. Hosting a book reading or a book festival is different from hosting, a soca fete or something like that. And we have to put in our film. And, so we would have loved to see that. We would have loved to see some kind of phasing. And talking about protocols, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. When we look outside of Jamaica, for example, I would refer the Work Safe BC, which is in British Columbia, where they have a document, a database that is updated and publicly accessible, where employers, which is what people in our industry are, we are not talking about informality, because members of our alliance, for example, are registered entities that represent members who are also formally operating generally. And so Yeah.
Hold that thought for me. I'm going to come back to you on some of the recommendations. I wanted quick comments from the others. Andrea, what has been outlined, is it too much, too little, or just right? If I could paraphrase Goldilocks.
I mean, I think it is, there's no complaints from, we represent a range of people in the subsectors, and there are no complaints. We're happy for the shift from an absolute number to a relative number, because what we've been hearing for ages is that 10 people in a small music studio is very different from 10 people on the Art Walk in Water Lane or in a stadium. So that move definitely makes sense. We're also really happy to see the differentiation between small events and large events. Everyone will know by now that the cultural and creative industries are valued at 84.1 billion, and 21.4 of that is earned by the big festivals and the big brands, your Dream, your Sunfest, your Rebel Salute. So it's very important to consult with them, but that means that 75% of the earnings and jobs are really coming from the smaller players, the small artisan fairs, the pottery fair, the comedy club, the book reading, the dancehall classes. And these events, very, very diverse. And so it's important to have that next step of consulting to get a tailored approach for all the different events that we have.
Okay, Mr. Bellamy, I think, and this may have been what Latoya was referring to, that a lot of the focus is going to be on the parties, because people are looking at the parties as a potential super spreaders, and I think a lot of people were a little surprised to see the gate being thrown open to the bigger events at this point, at the same time. So is there, I mean, obviously you're all longing to get back into it, but is there a concern on your part as to whether these events could in fact serve to spread the virus?
Well, I would like to start off by saying opening doesn't automatically lead to a doom and gloom situation. We have a prime example through our sister industry, which is the hotel industry, how they have been able to accommodate social gatherings of some sort or entertainment experiences within their properties within protocols and guides from the government. So I believe we're able to practice safe protocols, practice safe events, keep things very healthy and fun. I think people are actually yearning for this opportunity, and clearly the industry, the entertainment and creative industry, we have been yearning for this opportunity for a year now. We have been neglected for a year. So I mean, everybody who is a vested player, a vested stakeholder within the industry, we don't want to compromise this opportunity. A lot of effort will go into ensuring that we communicate the right message, that we enforce the right practices, and that we try and get the buy-in generally from our supporters. So that's generally how we feel as I just basic.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, there are a number of things you said there, you and the others I want to follow up on, but I'm at the first break. So let's go to the break. We'll come back in a moment. Remember our WhatsApp number, it's 3810072. Give me your first name, give me your general location. Hashtag is TVJ, all angles. Soon come.